People tell you to let it go. Just let it go. But thoughts are not pieces of luggage that you can pick up when you want and put down when you don't. If it were that simple, there probably wouldn't be worries that have stayed with you for months. Some things linger. Even when you try to push them away, they come back. There are things you'd rather leave behind, things you no longer want to remember, things you no longer want to think about. And somehow, those are often the hardest things to let go of. Why? Some memories stay because they hurt, but others stay for a different reason. Not because they are important, not because they contain some hidden truth. Sometimes they stay simply because you want them gone. You want to move on. You want to put them down. You want to stop carrying them. But the strange thing is, the harder you try to let go, the more they seem to stay. You tell yourself, all right, that's enough. And in that very moment, it returns. Clearer, sharper, more vivid than before. As if the effort to let go somehow pulled it back into view. This isn't a coincidence. And once you understand the mechanism behind it, you may begin to see those moments differently. Most of us have experienced this. You try to focus on something else. Work, family, entertainment, a movie, a trip. Sometimes it works for a few minutes. Sometimes for a few days. But eventually, in one way or another, it returns. Just when you thought it was over. The effort to push something away doesn't always make it smaller. Often, it does the opposite. The more you try not to think about it, the more present it becomes. The more desperately you want to let go, the heavier it feels. Many people assume this means they are too sensitive or not strong enough. But perhaps that's not where the problem is. In the 1980s, psychologist Daniel Wegner conducted a famous experiment. He asked participants to do something that sounded incredibly simple. Don't think about a white bear. The result was fascinating. The white bear appeared in their minds constantly, in many cases, more often than before. Wegner called this phenomenon the ironic process theory. The basic idea is surprisingly simple. The more you try to stop a thought from appearing, the more your mind has to monitor it. To make sure you're not thinking about the white bear, part of your mind has to keep checking. Has the white bear come back yet? And in order to check that, it has to keep the white bear somewhere in sight. In other words, sometimes the effort to push something away is the very thing that keeps it there. This isn't weakness. It isn't a lack of willpower. It's a paradox created by the way the mind works. But there is another layer to this. Not everything we push away returns with the same intensity. Some things come and go. Others seem to find their way back again and again. The question is, what makes the difference? Perhaps it's because some thoughts are not just thoughts. They are questions about ourselves. The real question is often not, did I do something wrong? But, what does this say about who I am? And the question is not always, did I make the right decision? But, if this decision was wrong, what does that make me? When something touches the way we see ourselves, it stops being simple information. It becomes an open question. And questions about who we are tend to stay with us. Not always because they are painful, but because they still don't fit into the way we understand ourselves. Perhaps that is why some things keep returning. Not to torment you, not to punish you, but because some part of you is still trying to understand what they mean. That loop, the one that forms when an experience becomes tied to the question, what am I really like? I call it the identity loop. And identity loops are difficult to resolve through forgetting, or through force. In many cases, the event itself is not what keeps returning. What keeps returning is the question about ourselves that became attached to it. Understanding this also changes the meaning of letting go. We often imagine letting go as making something disappear, no longer remembering it. no longer feeling it, no longer being affected by it. But the mind doesn't always work that way. Some things become more visible the harder we try to erase them. Perhaps letting go isn't about forcing a thought to leave. Perhaps it begins when we stop fighting its presence. When we acknowledge, it is here, and I don't need to win against it right now. Some things do not return because they are too powerful. They return because they have not yet found a place to settle. And sometimes, the first thing that helps them become lighter is not an answer, it's acknowledgement. The simple recognition that they are here, that they exist, and that they don't need to be pushed away one more time. Next week, we'll move beyond thoughts and into something even harder to describe. Emotions that exist within us but have never fully reached language. And sometimes, the things we cannot name are the things we carry the longest. If this video helped you recognize something within yourself, you can save it. Sometimes relief doesn't come from having an answer. Sometimes it comes from realizing there is a reason things feel the way they do. This video is part of a series on quiet processing, thoughts that have never fully reached language, produced by Clarity, a quieter place for unfinished thoughts. Thank you for listening.